A Russia-bound Azerbaijan airplane carrying over 60 passengers has crashed near Kazakhstan's Ataku airport. More than 20 passengers have survived, while dozens of others are feared to be dead. Initially, the passenger plane was en route from Baku to Grozny in Russia, but it was rerouted due to fog in Grozny. Shortly after the plane crash, authorities in Kazakhstan say at least 25 passengers survived in the plane crash. While the number of fatalities is still awaited, the officials cited an Associated Press report which said up to 42 people were likely to be dead. Videos claiming to show the crash have surfaced on social media. It showed an aircraft crashing into the ground and turning into a fireball. Police have already restricted access to the scene of the plane crash. We go first to our correspondent, Aditya Wadwan. Aditya, I'd like to talk to you specifically about this crash. We've seen some horrifying images across social media and fatalities which we know are going to reach the dozens. So what can you tell us about the specifics of the crash?
Well, absolutely, George. It is a very unfortunate incident that has happened on the Christmas. This unfortunate plane crash in Kazakhstan. It has, as you rightly pointed out, 42 people have so far been reported dead by the emergency ministry of Kazakhstan, while 28 people have survived this crash, which includes an 11-year-old girl and a 16-year-old teen who have been hospitalized. And also about 5 crew members have been reportedly dead. So, currently the rescue operations are underway, and because it is a time-taking process, because the clearing the debris that has been caused by the plane crash, it takes quite amount of time to clear that. So more number of casualties are expected. This number is expected to go up, and as well as the more number of injured people will also go up, because so far it has just happened today also, so it will take some time. So, but one reason that can prevent such plane crash is that using if there are radar systems and collisions avoidance systems installed on the plane, such crashes can be avoided in generally. Yes, back to you in the studios, George.
We're joined by two guests. Firstly, we have retired Wing Commander Praful Bakshi and former spokesperson of Ministry of Defence. We're also joined by Surjit Manassar, who is an aviation expert. Looking at the flight path that this plane's taken, it was going from Baku to Grozny in Russia, but it was rerouted. Is that something that's common with aviation, and is it common for a plane to go so far out and then, of course, what's happened is unfortunate and rare?
Sad incident that has taken place, and only the correct comments can be given after the investigation report comes in, or they could trace out the digital flight data recorder and a cockpit voice recorder. What I find is most of the small country airlines, we have to see how highly they're equipped with the engineering system, whether the engineering fault or the pilot's training fault. And if he has a train collision avoidance, why he could not find any obstruction in front of who? Now, regarding investigation, we have to see the place of crash, how difficult it is to reach the victims and all that, then to find out and rescue them. But I prefer if they order some very trained investigation body like NTSB of USA or CA of England to come and investigate this incident and help in improving the safety record of the airline. They will also come out and tell you the record of the engineering maintenance. How was the maintenance of these aircraft? Whether the engineering fault or the pilot's fault, it is only after the investigation we can find out the blame on the engineering, on the pilots, or the weather, or so many other things can be checked by the investigation. It's a very sad incident.
What we do know, we obviously need to wait, of course, for the report to come out on the circumstances. But what we do know is the images that we've seen on social media. And looking at the plane, they're not confirmed to be the exact images of the plane, but there are a lot of similar ones. So there's a certain amount of presumption there. But in terms of the plane being almost split in half, that the front end has caught fire and the back end seems intact. Does that mean that the survivors are all from the back half of the plane, and does that mean that everybody towards the front has potentially lost their lives?
Yes, we have to look into the terrain, what terrain was there. I'm not sure of the terrain around the place of crash, But pilots are fully trained for all emergencies. I do not know what serious thing happened that the pilots could not control the emergency. And it has to be seen if there's a technical fault or the fault on the human error on the part of the captain flying that aircraft. Only an investigation by going through the digital flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, we can come to a conclusion about the exact cause of the crash. And the investigation team will recommend improvement in future to avoid such incidents of crash in future. But we have to wait for the immediate report by the investigation body, what is the immediate cause of the crash. Only air traffic control can also be talked. When did the ATC contact broke up with the aircraft? All those things have to be checked up before coming to a final conclusion of the crash. It's a sad thing, but I think only expert agencies like NTSB and CAA from England, they can come and help this airline to find out the exact cause of the crash.
Thank you, Surjit Manassar. We are now joined by retired Wing Commander Praful Bakshi. It's not common that we see a plane crashing, let alone a commercial passenger plane. It's deemed as a safe way to travel, but this has potentially put fear amongst travellers across the Christmas period. Do you think this is a situation that people should be concerned about, or is this a standalone incident where something has clearly gone wrong? And what could that potentially be?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello,
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Thank you. What I gather is, first thing is that we are not very clear as to where the debris has fallen. Has the aircraft fallen on the runway or the side of the runway or outside the airfield? It's not very clear. Was the crash, has it happened during landing or was it during orbit? Now, some television, some information is coming that the crash has happened next to the runway while landing. If the crash has happened while landing, it means that the pilot was committed to land. He did not declare an emergency. If he has not declared an emergency, but has flown through a flock of birds, if the aircraft has flown through birds, then it must have been hit. Its low flying, low speed capability could have been affected. The stalling speed increases due to hit on the airframe, the flap, the aileron. Some places must have been hit. So that aspect spoils the stalling speed, and when the aircraft is coming into land, suppose it rounds off at 150 knots, it will stall at 135, it is stalling at 145 or something, then it will stall because that aspect is not known. What emergency was there is not known. Nobody knows whether it's a hydraulic failure, electric failure, one undercarriage has come down or not. Nothing is known. Only cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder can tell you exactly, or the ATC must be asked, the conversation between pilot and the ATC, cockpit pilot to pilot, this will reveal what the actual cause is. Conjecturing in an air crash is very harmful. We must not conjecture that this could have happened. Yes, so many things can happen. But the question is, what we gather, it had flown through a flock of birds, perhaps the migratory bird in that area. And that is what must have happened. And if that has happened, then I am afraid the flying characteristics of the aircraft have to be checked before it comes to land. So that slow speed handling and etc. has to be done by the pilot, but that they could not do. So there are a lot of information which is not available to us. I have been an accident investigator. I have investigated a number of accidents, and this aspect has to be ascertained. ATC's conversation, FDR readings, cockpit voice recorder readings, everything must go, and then the spread of the debris. An aircraft accident investigator will tell you exactly what the angle of hit the ground was. Did it hit vertically or shallow? If 20 people have survived, it means it was a shallow impact and not a vertical.
Praful Bakshi, thank you very much for joining us there. We will, of course, continue to bring you all of the updates as we get them on this horrific crash.